Hi, students. Okay, a couple of important points to observe in this particular chapter, which is check how well the argument addresses counterarguments. This is something you must be very observant of when you read an argument. At the same time, you need to be conscious of how well you are addressing counterarguments when you write your own papers, right? So it's always we need to when we read, we need to be able to detect certain things. When we write, we need to be cautious of certain things. Okay, where are my glasses? Okay, here we go. So one of the questions to ask ourselves is, did they overlook a counter argument? That is, when you read an essay by any author, you need to ask yourself, is the counter argument there? Have they addressed it? Or did they overlook it? They just ignored it. What happened here? Um, um, there are three ways in which you can brainstorm counter arguments, and these are some of the examples that the authors give us. As we go along, we need to ask ourselves, is the description of the counter argument fair and accurate? This is super important because we see a false representation of the opposition or the theory or the concept we do not like. We kind of always see a false representation of it, and that's called a strawman fallacy. So we need to be very, very cautious of it. A couple of examples about this fallacy are given as follows. For example, one person who opposes, another political party, they might say, if a particular party or group of people or a person, if they're arguing for, open borders, then the person who doesn't really find that comfortable, they might say something like, Democrats want completely open borders, and when they say that, it may not be. Very often, it is not true because there is more to what that group wants than something as simplistic as that. Let's just open the borders. It's a so that particular group may not be actually just saying that. So there's more to read into what they are saying and really very accurately, express what is their argument in order for you to be able to counter it. So very fair summaries are super important, very fair and accurate. Another, problem, just like the Democrats want completely open borders example, is this other one, which says Republicans want to kick all immigrants out of America. So that is the another party might say, let's say a group of Republicans or one person is saying, no, open borders is not a good thing. We need to be very, very cautious about da 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 da. And then the person who really dislikes that argument might say something like, well, they want to just kick everybody out of America, which is also not true. It will not be true because, and very likely it will not be true because once again, it makes their argument very simplistic. So the strawman fallacy is something we must beware of. We don't want to misrepresent somebody, especially the opposition. We do not, then it won't even be an argument because I'll be conjuring up an imagination in my mind and then saying and trying to defeat it. And it's like what I'm trying to oppose probably doesn't even exist. So we need to be cautious about that. Let's see. If the audience believes the strawman is the real thing, okay, we can detect the distortion by checking the description of the other side against what the other side has actually commonly argued. Okay, so that's just like what I just mentioned. So what I just explained is has been kind of explained over here also in those lines. And then the other question we need to pin, is it convincing? So the author has made his thesis, and then they have given us a counter argument. And let's hope that the counter argument is accurate. It is not some imaginary dramatical expression of anything. Now the next question is, now the author will try and refute that, right? Refute the counter argument. So then the question now, is that convincing enough? Is the refutation good? Are they really have they really made a really good attempt to defeat that counter argument? Because that will show the strength of the author's argument, and we need to be able to apply this in our own writing. So just the way our thesis has to be very strong, our counter argument has to, when we state our counter argument, it needs to be honest, it needs to be accurate. And then when we refute that counter argument, it needs to be convincing, right? So these are some of the things we need to pay attention to. I hope this helps. Thank you. Bye.